Okay, it's BernieDawg here, and what I have here is a XGK II. It's one of the early, see, 2. XGK II. It's one of the early stoves that MSR produced. You know, exact years, I don't really follow that. You know, whatever. I'm sure somebody on the internet can help you with that. This one has a kerosene jet in it, and this is a MSR fuel bottle that's full of kerosene. I'm using a more modern pump because my personal feeling is that this valve with the nice brass works better than the original plasticky kind of valve on the original pump. The question is, what do you buy for a cap for this stove? And I sell a cap called the XGK Dawg. Now the XGK Dawg is only for the XGK EX. That's a much more modern stove than this one. XGK IIs, XGK GKs, and XGK Gs, and also XGK, I think there's like a number 9 or something. I don't know. That part I'm not real clear on because I frankly am not a big guy into the history of MSR. It's too recent, so I don't really follow that. But there's internet sources you can find out more about that. Anyway, this is the cap that I sell for the XGK EX, only the modern EX, which doesn't look like this. It looks different. The EX is this big cap, and it's basically an OmniDawg cap with shorter legs, and it fits in there okay. But it will not fit in this stove, okay? It just won't fit. So what do I recommend for this stove? Well, actually, this stove has lower output than the new XGK EX. So these old vintage stoves, I recommend using a DragonTamer cap, and we're going to show you how that works. I'm going to show you how that works. It fits in there pretty good, see? It takes a little fiddling, but you can just kind of get it in there, and it drops right in. It sits real nice because it's got the legs and everything, so it won't roll. Now we're going to, using our XGK II stove, XGK II vintage, like 80s or 90s vintage stove, and put some denatured alcohol in, and it really does take a lot to heat these up to use a cap with kerosene fuel. There's obviously more metal in the cap. Ouch. More metal in the cap. Those alcohol flames are so hard to see. Then the flame plate, obviously a lot more metal. And so it does take more heat to heat that cap up. And so we put a little extra denatured alcohol in there to heat it up. Or if you're using fuel, you can use fuel. Kerosene is really bad to preheat with though. So I really recommend you don't do that. If I recall correctly, I put 30 pumps in here. And probably I'll speed this up from here on out because what's the point of watching alcohol burn? Okay, what you're seeing now is you're seeing the residual kerosene that was in this line is starting to come out here, and that's why we're getting some yellow flashes. That's actually vaporized kerosene. And you notice a lot of my alcohol leaked through into the bottom pan. Now this is important, especially if you have the Bakelite base. You wouldn't want to use alcohol like this. You'd want to put a pad in there, and you can get carbon felt and make yourself a carbon felt pad that'll slide in underneath the burner and absorb all that alcohol and keep it in one place instead of letting it run everywhere. All right, I'm about ready to go here. Let's see what we get. Okay, there we go. Now, if you want more, obviously, apply some more pumps. And there you have it. Let's zoom in. But if you need to boil water fast, or if you want to melt a lot of snow, the vintage stoves are still good, but don't use the XGK Dawg cap on your vintage XGK II. Instead, use the DragonTamer cap. Works equally good with white gas as it does here with the kerosene. And that's that. Thanks for watching.